Bitcoin news. Probably news that will shock you more than any other Bitcoin video I've ever done. From the man himself, Michael Saylor. What he says now about Bitcoin should scare you. And if it doesn't, I don't know what will. But I cannot believe he said this. I'll give him credit for being honest. But what he says should scare everybody who wants to own any crypto. He admits something that I'm going to show you in a moment, what his role is in Bitcoin. He openly admits it. And he also tells you things are about to get a heck of a lot worse. And when I say worse, I mean really bad. And this is coming from the most maximist, Bitcoin maximalist of all time. Not the most. There are others who have even more Bitcoin, of course. But nevertheless, what you're about to hear, if this doesn't scare you, I don't know what will. Full disclosure. So you all know, I owned Bitcoin. I also owned XRP. And I say owned because I sold it all when Bitcoin reached $70,000. I do like the technology. However, we keep going on and on and on about this amazing technology. But is it that amazing? We're going to prove to you right now it isn't. And it's been around for a very, very long time. It's not a new thing at all. We're going to cover all that. But first of all, so you know, 100%, we aim to be the most honest channel on YouTube TV. This is my portfolio. This is what I own. 100% is in the S&P 500. 100, it says 99.88 because I have a couple of little bits of Apple that I won. All right, but otherwise I'm 100%. There's my main account, my Roth IRA. You can see if I click on VU again, I'm 100% in VU, and my entire balance is 107. I started with $5,000, so I've made plenty of money. Thank you very much. I've never done options. I've never shorted a stock, and I don't own a single amount of crypto. However, if you look on my main account right here, you will see at the top, I've got Bitcoin, Doge, and Ethereum. Nothing in it. Zero. I can't even sell it all. That's part of the problem. Can't get rid of the last little bit. You try and do it. It's impossible. But anyway, let's talk about Bitcoin right now and share. Now you all know the situation. Tap the like button if you like this information, and also consider subscribing. Now then, let's go back to the beginning. Why was Bitcoin created? Why is anything ever created? Because people are selfish. People are greedy. People care about themselves and they want to do anything they can to benefit themselves and then tell everybody it's an amazing thing and we should all be in it. Let me explain just before I bring Michael Saylor into the show. You will not believe what he says, so just please stick with me for this. I am an investor. What that means is I buy something that not only is of good value today, but I believe in the future when I need to sell it to live on the profits, if you like, it'll be worth more. But also I invest in things that I believe are good, they're going to build, they're going to grow. And when I sell them, somebody else can own them and they can also build and sell them to somebody else in the future. There's something decent about that. You're not scamming anybody. You're buying now before, you know, the next generation's even born potentially, or they're even looking to invest, and you build a business, you own a business. One day you sell it because you need the money, and then somebody comes along and they buy the business from you, and they've still got a great business, and in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they've got a better business to sell on. And so the story goes. There's something good about that. Can that be said for Bitcoin? Well, when Bitcoin reached $70,000, I decided to take all my profits because I started to realize there were cracks forming. Things weren't quite what I first imagined. I was led to believe the technology was amazing, this amazing technology. In fact, when I researched it more and more and more, I actually realized that cryptography has actually been around for a heck of a long time, and it's not. Bitcoin was not the first cryptocurrency. It wasn't the first type of this technology. It's been around for ages. It's been reformed and readapted and renamed and relabeled and all the rest of it. It's not actually that amazing. We talk about the use case that you can send money around the world and it's cheap and it's free and it's secure and it's decentralized. No one can control it. However, that isn't true. I'm going to explain that as well. All of these things are going to come out in this video, and where I see Bitcoin and all crypto going, and the man himself tells you things are about to get a heck of a lot worse, and the fact that his role is merely to promote it and sell it. He basically admits this. This is Michael Saylor, the man himself. Now, before I let you hear from Michael Saylor, I'm just about to do it. Here on the homepage of our channel, I've just put out two videos. One, I'm explaining that Bitcoin, is it all over? And I'm asking the question, is it all over? And Sensei provided a chart for you so you can trade this. Now, Sensei is our crypto expert. He knows the people that manage a lot of these projects. He talks to them, he meets them. He's very, very, very good at crypto, very good at charts. Go and check out his chart here for Bitcoin. You might be surprised at what he says, and he is all over crypto. I also put this video, which was an introduction to what we're doing here today. You might want to go and check that out as well. But it's very, very important before we listen to Michael to talk about where this all came from and why it existed. People often talk about, you buy an asset and it goes up in price and it's worth more in the future. You buy a house 100 years ago for 100,000, let's say it was $10, I don't know, $100, and 10 years later, 100 years later, it's $10,000 or $100,000, whatever. Has your house gone up in value? Has it gained value? No, it hasn't. Of course it hasn't. It's just a pile of bricks sat where it was in the first place. It's gone up in value because money has been devalued. More money has been printed, inflation, more in the system. So when you go, wow, my house is now 100,000 bazillion dollars and I only bought it for $100, that's amazing. My house has gone up in value. It hasn't gone up in value. Money has just been devalued. And very often people forget that. That's the reality of it, because now if you go and sell that house, you're going to buy another house at the same price. It's not like your house is special and your house has gone up in value. All homes have gone up, not because they've all got better, because money has been devalued. And that has been happening since the beginning of time. The idea of finding a store of value that would prevent inflation, be a hedge against inflation, the principle of that has been around since the beginning of time. Money has always been devalued. Items always go up in value. Things always cost more. And Bitcoin and crypto is the latest in thousands of regenerations of ideas that could be the problem solver. It's not. It's merely a way to get people into the system to once again take advantage and make money out of them. So, with that all being said, let me let you listen to Michael Saylor, who is regarded as one of the main maximalists for Bitcoin, and hear from himself, and I will challenge what he says. And I think what he says is going to absolutely shock you and make you realize this whole thing is not rat poison, as Charlie Munger would say, and not the digital gold, as he would say. It's somewhere in the middle, and you don't want to be in the middle. I'm not saying it's rubbish, but I'm saying many people are going to lose a lot of money, and it's going to happen very, very quickly. Let me let you listen to this. You're going to be surprised by this. Here we go.
Because it has this massive, diversified, decentralized network of Bitcoin security data centers, which we call miners, but they're really driving up massive hash rate to.
So let's just talk about decentralized, what that actually means. Because they're not releasing any more than 21 million, it's not like the Federal Reserve keep printing money, so it won't devalue in the same way. He's right there. Decentralized, what makes money kind of worthless in a way, not completely, but what makes money potentially worthless is not because of the money, the physical paper, or what you're buying and what you're selling. It's because more is printed, inflation, the thing just gets worth less and less over time. Like I explained, houses don't go up in price, they don't go up in value, the money just gets worth less, so the house seems more expensive. So by being decentralized and no one can control it, then that kind of fixes the problem. However, it doesn't
secure the network. They are subsidized by a Bitcoin block reward, and they're also subsidized by transaction fees. The block rewards, for the most part, run out after the first 30 years of the network. Between 2009 and, in 2035. We will have mined 99% of the Bitcoin by 2035. So that's running down, but the transaction fees will grow and are growing over that period because there's a scarce amount of block space. You can maybe process 30,000 transactions an hour.
Now let's talk about this for a moment. He actually admits this. He is so full of what he's talking about and so believes that everyone has now drunk the Kool-Aid, if you like. We're not even listening anymore. What he's about to tell you is the use case of Bitcoin is zero. There's none. You heard about the transactions. How many transactions can be done? So if you buy Bitcoin, like all those people in El Salvador did, remember the government adopted it, and now that was a complete disaster. People in El Salvador, is it El Salvador? I think it is. There's a couple other countries joining as well. They can't use it. It's a problem. It's a problem, and he's going to explain now. So the purpose of the use case of owning Bitcoin so you can transact with it, you can use it, and all the rest of it is bonkers. You can't, and he admits it, but wait, it gets a lot worse.
And if you want to move your money or you want to do that transaction, that's a limit. You have to put a bid to get your transaction in the next block. People are going to bid high. If I want to move $1 billion, I'll bid a lot of money. If I need the transaction to take place, I'll bid it up. The more people in the network, the more demand for that transaction bandwidth. What would you pay to sell $10 million worth of real estate in New York City today?
Isn't that a ridiculous thing? Isn't that a ridiculous thing? What would you pay to sell some real estate? In other words, you're quite happy to pay ever increasing payments to move your Bitcoin or to use it, and it's going to get exponentially more expensive. It's going to be locked in. It's the very definition of a Ponzi scheme. Your money will be locked in the network. Nobody will be able to sell it. Nobody will be able to transfer it. The fees will get so extortionate that the people that own all of it, the majority of it, will dump it in a second, and they won't care because they own most of it. A handful of people own nearly all the Bitcoin, which is terrifying if you think about it. So when they say it's decentralized, not really. You own half a dozen people nearly own all of it. When they dump it, the rest of us are not going to be able to sell it for what it's worth. That's what's going to happen. And he uses the argument of sending, if I wanted to sell real estate, I pay all this money to sell my house. Well, yes, you do. And I think it's a con anyway. I think realtors and people that charge you, hundreds of thousands of dollars to sell your house, it's a con anyway. Because you shouldn't be comparing it to that in the first place. When I send money around the world, and I do it all the time, it costs me zero. I send money to England, Europe, Canada. I've done it all over the place. And back to forward America, it's free, doesn't cost me any money. It's instant, it's fraud guarantee, it's protected, no problem. So to compare, I'll send my Bitcoin comparing it to selling a house, and that's okay. I would not be happy with that at all. That then will take the profit out that you've apparently made until they all dump it and everybody's got to pay $1 million to sell their $10 worth of Bitcoin. That is the very definition of a Ponzi scheme as proven by Michael Saylor. Unbelievable. Listen again to this.
What? You might pay $1 million. You might pay $1 million in transaction fees.
Well, then you're an idiot.
The transaction fee economy works just fine for real estate.
It doesn't work fine. It's rubbish.
There's no block reward for real estate. People don't just get a bunch of free real estate every 10 minutes for being in the real estate business. They all work on the basis of a commission. The same is true in the financial markets. So there'll be commissions and fees to trade. There's a very limited amount of transaction space. The fee will go from a few dollars a transaction to $30 a transaction to $300 a transaction to $3,000 to $30,000 to $300,000.
Whoa!
And
right, I've got to pause that. He's actually saying this now. You really need to think about this. Everyone should dump their Bitcoin. I'm being absolutely serious. Think about this for a moment. It goes up and up and up and up. And he'll tell you in a minute, it's his job to promote it, remember. He will tell you that in a minute. He will tell you he's the king of the Ponzi scheme. He actually tells you. It'll go up and up and up and up and up because everyone's buying this amazing thing that we're all going to get rich because human beings just like doing stuff like that because it's what we do. We're looking for a free, quick fix. I deal with it every day on the show. Up and up and up and up and up it goes. They mine and mine and mine and mine. And Michael Saylor and a handful of people own 99% of all the Bitcoin. And then they go, boom, I'm selling all of it. But you're Mr. Joe Blogs with your $50 worth of Bitcoin, but now it's $10,000 to sell it. You'll get absolutely nothing. And he's okay with that. He's okay. It costs you millions to transact. I'm not okay with it. I send money all the time for free, and I quite like that system. You do not need this. This is the worst thing I've ever heard for Bitcoin.
That being the case, there's no reason to think the mining ever stops. It will be more efficient. In a world right now, I guess you have $1 trillion asset class, and the Bitcoin miners get paid $10 billion a year. So the cost for the security, right? $10 billion a year is like 1%, right? The fees will trend to be less than that. And so that 1% security cost will probably become 0.5%, 1/3 of a percent, 1/4 of a percent, 1/10 of a percent. But there's no reason why the revenues can't go up while the value.
Who cares? Who cares about how much the miners get? The miners care. I don't care. As an investor of Bitcoin, I want to know that my asset has a use. We've just proved it's got no use. 30,000 transactions an hour, whatever it is. You can't send it around. We can't all be spending it. We can't all use it. I've tried. It doesn't work. It takes like up to 24 hours to get it. And the fees are going to go up and up and up and up. Now I can't even sell it. But that suits Michael Saylor because I just leave it in there. Michael Saylor was at one of the Bitcoin conventions, I think it was 2 years ago, and he stood on stage like a Dallas cheerleader and went, "Never sell your Bitcoin." Does Tim Cook ever say never sell Apple shares? No. Does anybody who owns the S&P go, "Never sell your S&P"? No. Does anyone ever send you an email trying to scam you to buy the S&P? No. Does anyone send you emails to buy Bitcoin? All the time. It's the only scam emails I deal with. Every day it's crypto related. People are so hooked into this now that they think it's great. And the guy is literally telling you right in front of your face what a load of rubbish it is. It gets worse.
Value that's protected goes up. And the incentive is always going to be to run the equipment, even if
as long as the miners
the
get
transaction
rich.
Fees aren't high. Once you've invested $100 million in Bitcoin mining equipment, it's a sunk cost. You can't repurpose it to anything else. If your electricity is free, and if you have $100 million of equipment, then it doesn't matter whether you make $1 million a year, $10 million a year, $100 million a year. You would run it for $1 million a year. You would run it at 99% lower price because $1 million a year is still better than nothing a year. The electricity is.
Why is he talking about this? How does this benefit you? It doesn't. What he's trying to do is tell miners, get involved. The more we can mine, the quicker we can get to 0 day when it's all done, there's none left, and the quicker I can dump it all. Essentially, that's what he's saying. Because do you care about all of this as a miner? Most of you aren't a miner, are you? You're just trying to invest and make a few quid. You're all going to get absolutely buggered when this all sells off.
It's worth nothing to you. A third of all the electricity in the world is valueless. It's wasted, stranded. We've got too much. It's like you have a dam. Nobody wants to buy electricity from the dam. The water just flows over the dam, right? Or you can mine Bitcoin.
That's not true. We do not have an excess of electricity.
The genius of the network is...
That's not true at all.
Everybody that gets into Bitcoin mining does a one-way trade. You take $1 billion, you invest it in Bitcoin mining, you can't get your money out. You can go bankrupt. The equity holder can go bankrupt, then the creditor gets the Bitcoin mining. The debt holder can go bankrupt, then the electricity company, the power company gets the mine. The power company can go bankrupt. The nation state, the sovereign that owns the power company will own it. If you notice, electricity companies never go bankrupt. Maybe...
That is not true. That is absolutely, those two things are not true. I know I've been bankrupt. I went bankrupt once. I learned never do it again, right? You're talking about people going bankrupt so the mining gets handed on like it's some sort of inheritance. The next person, these are people. People are unreliable. You're just assuming that everybody who owns this is going to turn it on and run it. The maintenance, the understanding. Does anyone here know how to run a mining farm? Probably not. If I was running a bank and I'd inherited a mining farm, would I know what to do with it? No. People are lazy. How many, I've seen many instances of people inheriting things, money, wealth. Lots of money is left in Switzerland. People died and never claimed their inheritance. People aren't very reliable. People lose stuff. They lose their phrase keys. They lose their ledgers. We've all done it. And I don't think the way he describes it, this person goes bankrupt, this person goes bankrupt, it just carries on going and everything works perfectly fine. No, it doesn't. That's not how human beings work at all. Absolute nonsense. But anyway, it gets worse.
They're owned by the state or they're owned by the country, but people decide they want electricity and they'll keep running them. There's no way to turn them off.
By the way.
And that's why even in a crypto winter or bear market, the hash rate just keeps going up. It's a one-way silicon ratchet, and it's like at an 8 to 10 year natural frequency. It's like 8 years after the business became awful, my equipment starts burning out. But you see, even if the equipment burns out, like people they would buy Bitcoin mining rigs for $10,000 at the height of the bull market, and then the market price crashed, and then they're buying the same rig for $1,500. So the price of the equipment will compress by 90%. The price of electricity will go to zero. How does it go to zero? Everybody that's just mining on expensive electricity goes out of business. So when they go out of business, where does their equipment go? It migrates to the next buyer. Who's the buyer of last resort? Someone that has free power. There are actually places where there's negative, where the power...
I mean, it makes sense what he's saying, but it's in a utopia perfect world, and it doesn't work like that. Things don't work like that. He's literally believing what he's saying because he's been living on this stuff now so long that he believes the world is just perfect. All revolves around him and his idea of perfect people doing the right thing. It doesn't make any sense. This is not how the world works. And somebody just made my point here. Friend of mine lost his Bitcoin keys. He'd be a billionaire. People, mate, do it all the time. People are always losing their stuff, their keys. And what he's describing here is not how human beings work. What he's doing is he's tapping in to human ignorance and greed. And he's even telling you about it with the confidence. A lot of criminals do that. How many criminals, mass murderers, are actually telling you they did it? And people go, he wouldn't admit that. Did he just admit that? Yeah, there's lots of famous instances. I'm not going to use the names, but many people here would know who I'm talking about. Many famous people have told you what they're doing, and people think it can't be true. He wouldn't admit it. The bigger the lie, more people believe it. That's human behavior.
Power is negative cost, where people will pay you to take the electricity. You know, that happens on solar and wind grids, where the sun is shining, the wind is blowing, and we're going to burn out the grid unless you take the power.
Wow.
Right? You see?
Yeah.
You know, and it happens if I'm flaring methane gas or if I'm flaring natural gas. The regulator says to you, if you don't actually use this, if you don't cap the flare and use this, then you have to write off and close in the well. And then you take $100 million write-off. There's always going to be people that are going to want to mine Bitcoin, and there will always be a market for Bitcoin equipment that's used. And you want to be a doomsdayer? Well, okay, 10 years later, all the Bitcoin mining rigs all burn out. What happens? Well, what happens is the big semiconductor manufacturers like Bitmain already have the engineering specs. They will sell this equipment at a variable margin of 3%, right? You know, what does it cost for a 386 chip? You know, or what does it cost for a 30-year-old computer, right? At some point, you manufacture it for 5% of the original cost. It gets insanely cheap. Like they put computer chips in greeting cards now, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're working your way down this manufacturing curve and this Moore's law. It's just like, the truth is guns are cheap. They're too cheap, right? You could buy a gun for $100, right? That works. What you have here is a network defended by technology, and the technology is a one-way function, and the hardware is one-way investment. You can't unknow how to set off an explosive. You can't unknow how to build an ASIC. But now that you know how to manufacture it, and now that you own it, what can you do with it? There's only one thing you can do with it. The only thing you can do with it is provide security for Bitcoin. So it's a quite elegant engineering design that I entice so many engineers to invest so much money to simply
that I entice so many people to get involved with. That's his job. He's admitted that. My job is to entice people to buy Bitcoin and tell them to never sell it until they all sell it, and the transaction fees will be through the roof. You'll all be stuck with owning worthless nothing.
Defend my economic rights against those who would steal from me.
What do you make of that? So, the fact of the matter is, we have just proven beyond any doubt whatsoever, there is no use case. There is no use case other than just holding it forever. That's the very definition of a Ponzi scheme. He admitted himself. Get more people to buy it. Get involved. Never sell it. He's gone on the record many, many times. He's told you it'll get so expensive you won't want to transact with it. Well, what do you do with it then? It just sits there? Does it produce anything? No. Can you stake it? I don't know anyone who's staking Bitcoin. I don't know if anyone have ever seen it. Maybe you can. I've never been able to stake my Bitcoin. You can't spend it. You can't use it. It just sits there. It gets more expensive to get it out. His job is to hold it forever. And then he goes off on all about this thing with the miners. Well, they're making money out of it, so they should get involved. Well, yeah, they should, because if they get involved, we get to your 0 day quicker. I think this is ridiculous. On the research of this video, I was also talking to people who are now telling me that XRP is going to go to $10,000 a coin. And people have completely and utterly lost the plot. There's no basis for this. It doesn't make any sense. If you work out the market cap of that, it doesn't make any sense at all. If you look at the money available in the world and look how big that would be, it makes no sense. To be honest with you folks, it's simple. All of this is simple. Charlie Munger calling it rat poison Warren Buffett saying it's the worst thing they've ever seen are wrong. Michael Saylor saying it's digital gold and it's the future, and Cathie Wood and we should all buy it and own it are wrong. It's somewhere in the middle. Essentially, what it comes down to is since the beginning of time, we've tried to find a way to build a monetary system that works for all. There isn't one. Human beings are essentially flawed. We are greedy, we are selfish, and we are lazy. Just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Accept it. An alien looking down on planet Earth would have no interest in landing on Earth. There's nothing much here for a superior intelligence. We're all doing things wrong every day. We make mistakes every day. We don't learn from our mistakes. If we learn from our mistakes, how come we're still having wars? How come there's still famine? How come there's still diseases? How come there's still not a cure for cancer? Been going on forever, and it will go on forever until man doesn't exist anymore. One of the things that humans suffer from most is greed, selfishness. I want more. And people just don't seem to have enough. They always want to try and get somebody else involved. How can I get the next person to follow me? Now, I'll be honest with you. I do this show every day, not because I'm the nicest person in the world, not because I like helping everybody. I don't know everybody. I do like helping people, and my members I speak to, I love helping them. Mike will tell you, I phone him up and I have a chat and I text people and message people, and I love doing this. But there's no doubt about it. It's a selfish behavior. I do it not because it makes me money. I could make far more money doing something else. I could just go out and do a couple of gigs and earn what I earn in 2 nights, what I earn in a year on YouTube. It's not about the money. I do it because I enjoy it. Selfishly, I enjoy it. I love entertaining. I love talking to people. And that's why everyone does everything in life. That's why you've tuned in today, because you're enjoying it. That's why people get married, because somebody else will bring them something to the party. There's always something in it for you. That's okay. Accept it. You're a human being. You want things for yourself. It's just the way it is. Whenever you give, there's always a little bit the other way. That's okay. Is it perfect? No. Are we all God? Are we all perfect? No, we're just human beings. We make mistakes. Get over it. It's okay. So because of that, it's okay to want and need and be greedy. It's not nice, but it's human. And sadly, because of ignorance and living in a world that's moving far too quickly, everybody wants everything now. Everybody wants it now. Nobody wants to wait. Everybody wants it now. And it's quite funny, actually, as I'm talking about this, Bitcoin is completely going down the toilet. It's quite funny, isn't it? But that's a coincidence. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, everybody wants everything for nothing, free, easy, without any work. So people with power and money can manipulate that. It's not new. It's been going on since the beginning of time, and it will go on until the end of time. They've tried universal credits, giving everybody money. And we all got money. We don't need money now. Everything's for free. Doesn't work. Anarchy would occur, and the people that are smart and disciplined would get all the money back off the people that were just running around spending it, and it would end up the same. That the rich would end up rich, the poor would end up poor again. There is no way to fix it until you fix people, and no one is about to get fixed anytime soon. So crypto was created, but it was created many, many more years before we started talking about Bitcoin. The cryptology, I can't quite pronounce the word, has been available and has existed for many, many years. I've studied that, and I've forgotten the exact date now and whatever, but it's been around for a very long time. So at the end of the day, this is nothing new, nothing amazing. Bitcoin isn't amazing. The technology isn't amazing. It won't fix anything. But what it will do, from the man who owns most of it, who admits to telling you his job is to get you to buy it, is it will go up and up and up and up and up until there's none of it left, until it's worth nothing But money will devalue, so it will seem like it's worth something. Just like the house example I gave you, a house isn't really worth anymore. Money just gets worth less. So your house price seems worth more. But you try and go out and sell the house for $1 million and then buy one for $100 again. Well, you're not going to, are you? Unless you buy a broken one, of course. That's a very different situation. But no one's getting any money for free. And at some point, when all 21 million are mined, and they decide the ones that own nearly all of it, that's why he wants to buy as much of it as he can, and he dumps it and he sells all of it. There's all of you running around with your handful of Bitcoin and $10 here and $10 there, knowing it's now $1 million to bloody move it. What a load of nonsense. It doesn't produce anything. It doesn't do anything. So, this is not financial advice, but this is my experience and my thoughts, my meandering thoughts of the way my life has gone. Whether you agree with me or not, I don't know. Leave me your thoughts below in the comments. But for me, I'm out of Bitcoin. There's got to be something wrong when the ones that own it the most admit to telling you it's their job to promote it. And the word he used was entice those to buy it. No other business would ever do that. They're not allowed to do that. No S&P, no ETF, no business ever says to you, buy my stock, it's great. They're not allowed to do it. It doesn't exist. It only happens in Bitcoin. Why is it that the only scammers that send me emails, the only scammers that pretend to be me on Discord, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, are all trying to sell crypto? Why is it? It's always the same. I'm sorry if you are in Bitcoin. But yesterday, my final thoughts is yesterday I interviewed one of our members who is very successful, has plenty of money, very, very wise. I'm not going to show you the whole thing right now. He's a very successful businessman. One of our friends, MSK. I would like you to go and watch this video that I just did with MSK. Where is it now? It's, yes, this video here. This video here, Bitcoin all over. If I just hover over it, there is MSK. I interview MSK, lots of money, very successful businessman. He's not stupid. He's not an idiot. He knows what he's doing. But I asked him all about Bitcoin. I asked him about XRP. And I gave him some challenging questions. And don't take my word for it, but go and watch it. You will see. He couldn't tell me at the end of the day why he owned it. When I put the questions to him, he couldn't tell me why. And he's got lots of it. And I mean lots of XRP. Lots of it. And he couldn't tell me the reason. How many people, if you challenge them and put the points I put to today, could argue with it? Could give you a reason why they own it? That tells you everything. If those that own it don't know why they own it, I certainly know why I don't. And I'm out. I've sold it all. I will never buy it back. Got no interest in it whatsoever. I want to buy something that will be worth more tomorrow than it is today. Not because we all buy it, because it makes something, it earns something, it achieves something. And when I finally sell it to somebody in the future, they will own a great asset, a great business that they can sell to their families and their friends in the future, whoever, future generations, and the system goes on. There's something good about that. Is it perfect? No. The monetary system isn't perfect. We keep printing it. We keep reducing the value of money. We keep getting more debt, but it's the best system that we have. Until humans become something else, this is the best we got. Do not believe people that tell you can get rich for doing nothing. Do not believe people that tell you you can get rich owning something that does nothing. And then admit it does nothing, and admit it's their job to sell it, and admit it's just going to get increasingly more expensive to get rid of it. If that doesn't sound like the most ridiculous scheme in the world, then there's no helping you. If I could give advice today, it would be this. Every single person, sell all your crypto and simply buy the S&P because it contains the 500 best businesses in the world that actually work and do something. I hope you watched to the end of the video. I'd be interested to read your comments and thoughts. Click above my head for all the links. Down below in the description. Over here, I will put the US election debate live tomorrow night. And down here, I shall put the FOMC report I'm calling the NVIDIA Day, because it will be the NVIDIA Day, and you need to join us to see. I'll go back to my position. There is my position. I'm making money because the businesses are making money. Simple. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.